Not me just finding out it is illegal to be racist in Brazil. So this is Augustina Perez. Augustina got into a confrontation with an employee at a restaurant, and guess what? Augustina decided to make monkey noises. Ooh, 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 and they got her ass.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing great wherever you are watching us from. She thought racist insult would end an argument over a restaurant bill. Instead, she ended up facing years behind the bar. Let's dive straight into the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share the video to help the channel out. I'll be back with my commentaries.
Did y'all know that racism was a crime in Brazil? Like a serious crime, like you might get up to 5 years in prison? Baby, what Miss Daffy say? I'm on the way there. Baby, send me to Brazil, okay? Now, I don't normally talk about crimes in other countries and other stuff like that because it'd be a lot. We already have enough going on here. But this piqued my interest, so I had to bring it to you. Agostina Paez, I think that's how you say her name. If it's wrong, please forgive me. She was in Brazil on vacation. Now, she is from Argentina, but she was in Brazil, and she was in Brazil on January the 14th. Now, okay, she was at a restaurant, and there was a dispute with the bill. Instead of just having them fix the bill and then going about her merry way, when she let them know about the dispute about the bill, they said that she made some racist remarks like calling people monkeys, monkey sounds, things of that sort. She made them feel very uncomfortable, and it was very obvious to them that it was racism, okay? It was to them. It was very obvious. So, them being of Brazil, they knew that, ma'am, that's a crime. So they called the police and let the police know, and the police come. Now, under normal circumstances in Brazil, they don't give you no bond, and you got to wait until they make a decision on if you're guilty or not guilty, and then the punishment for the crime is up to 5 years in prison for racism because they have a zero tolerance policy, okay? Again, I'm on the way there. A zero tolerance policy. Her attorney did a habeas corpus, and they let her out on an ankle monitor, and they was going to let her wait until trial. Again, that's not normal, but the attorney that she got a good legal team, and she's an attorney herself, I do believe. But her attorney was doing some attorneying, okay? And we know how I love to see an attorney, honey. And they had got her out, but they decided to reverse that on Thursday. So they didn't put her back in and said, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. It has caused a complete ruckus in Brazil and in Argentina because people in Brazil is like, you need to know the law of the land when you in the land, okay? You need to know what's going down here in Brazil when you come to Brazil. And people in Argentina are like, but y'all got to know we don't do that where we at. And I agree with them. Whatever the law of the land is, you need to know that law when you get to their doggone land. Okay. But, yeah, she's facing up to 5 years in prison. When all she had to do was just say, fix my doggone bill. They fix it, and she going about her merry way. But instead of that, she decided to take below the belt, and they said, we know where hell is, and made that phone call to the authorities. But yeah, I might be on the way to Brazil. Somebody buy me a plane ticket so I can go see what they got going on. I likes that. Zero tolerance.
Augustina is from Argentina. I knew they wasn't playing with that girl because they slapped the ankle monitor on her and locked her down. She's not going anywhere, and now she is facing 5 years. And now she's on television trying to plead for amnesty. She's trying to plead to let her go home. Baby, can't nobody help you now. Because everywhere she goes now, they are doxing every single one of her locations and chasing her around the island. She says she can't believe the reaction to this because in Argentina, the country is built off of being racist. Literally, they genocided their entire black population, so being a racist is a normal thing in Argentina. Big shout out to Brazil. Much love to Brazil. Good job. I hope America starts to follow your trend.
So did you guys know that racism is illegal in Brazil and can actually get you arrested? Guys, I'm about to go over one of the biggest fuck around and find out stories that you might have heard in the travel space in a while. But basically, this 29-year-old female from Argentina named Augustina Paez was visiting Rio de Janeiro in January. She was at a bar with friends, and I guess they were drinking, having a good old time. The tab came by. She was in disagreement with the amount I guess she was being charged. A dispute ended up happening. She exited the establishment and then proceeded to do monkey noises, basically calling the staff monkeys, which is considered racism. And so she thought she was going to get away with it. Everything was going to be cool. She was going back to Argentina, no problem. Psych. Brazil said, hell nah, we ain't standing for that. And they got her ass. They arrested her. And then on top of that, they released her on an ankle bracelet. And she has to remain in Brazil for the duration of time until they sentence her. And she could be sentenced to 2 to 5 years of imprisonment. Okay? So Brazil does not fuck around when it comes to racism, guys. Make sure you're doing your research when you're going to a different country before you end up getting locked up for something stupid. I know people that have been locked up for smoking cigarettes, smoking weed overseas. And I'm not even trying to say that racism is something you guys should be doing overseas. Like, obviously, learn to be a bit more open-minded and not be ignorant. I don't condone racism. But in this case, this idiot didn't realize that racism is illegal in Brazil. She thought it was like Argentina where you could say and do whatever you want. But in Brazil, you can't do that. And they locked her ass up, and she found out very quickly that you can't fuck around in Brazil. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that story. And make sure you do your research before you go to other countries, guys. Simple as that.
This video is for all my Black Americans fellows. Do you guys know that in Brazil, people don't play about racism? Do you know that Brazil is has the largest Black population in South America? Did you know that being racist in Brazil is considered a crime and that you can actually go to jail for it? Exactly. That's how it should be everywhere. Everywhere. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.
Brazil does not play about racism. I'm just seeing this story about Augustina.
Brazil is viral right now, finally, because it's a wonderful place. Very popular because of Carnival. But before you visit, you really should know this. It is a crime to be racist there. It's also a crime to be homophobic and transphobic. It's very much not freedom of speech. They don't play about this there. It's jail, no bail. They're also passing a law against feminicide, meaning that if a man kills a woman, he spends life in prison. No parole, no getting out early, no good behavior, no making deals. That's not a thing, non-negotiable, life in prison. I love that for them. The other thing is last week, they also passed some pretty strict laws against animal abuse. And I love it for them because, I mean, the place is fun, the good food, the people are wonderful, and the laws actually work. Look at that. You don't get to use your freedom of speech to just be an asshole. I think some countries should write it down. And anytime I tell people about this, people are always so shocked. Like, how dare they? Like, what about my freedom of speech? You don't get freedom of speech here either, babes. You don't get it. You don't have it. Like, do you see the president going after people for saying they don't like him?
Y'all, did you know you can get 5 years in prison in Brazil just for being racist? I didn't know. I just learned that today. I saw this story on my timeline and I decided to go down the rabbit hole. So this is Augustina Paez, and she is an Argentinian lawyer. See, what happened, she was arguing with some employees about a bill and decided to do this. Then this happened. And now she sounds like this.
Augustina Páez es acusada de injuria racial en Brasil. En este momento recibo una notificación que hay una orden de prisión preventiva para mí por peligro de fuga, siendo que tengo una tobillera electrónica puesta y que estoy a disposición de la justicia desde el día 1. Se están vulnerando todos mis derechos. Estoy desesperada, estoy muerta de miedo y hago este video para que se haga eco de la situación.
She has been released, but she has to wear an ankle monitor, and she must now wait for the Brazilian judiciary to set a date for her trial. She could be sentenced up to 5 years in jail if found guilty. Oh, was it worth it? Was it worth it? The case is at the center of a growing legal conversation that is making headlines in Argentina and Brazil. With some argue that jail time is too harsh a punishment for a racist offense, others have pointed out that it's the responsibility of Argentinian citizens abroad to know the law. In this case, Brazil's strict anti-racism legislation. The incident took place on January 14th, according to the complaint filed by the employees. She also used derogatory language, as well as the gestures that we just saw in the previous video. Under the Brazilian law, racism and racial insults are treated as serious criminal offenses. See, she's from Argentina, and the people in Argentina, boy, they could be motherfucking racist as hell. And they received no punishment. And then she decided to take her fucking ass all the way to Brazil thinking she could do the same shit. Oops. Oops. Oh my God. Was calling the employees monkeys worth it? I don't think so. And she's a lawyer too. Fucking that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But I didn't know. I didn't know you can go to jail for 5 years in Brazil for that. Learn something new each day. Now imagine if they did that in this country. All them jail cells would be full. It's wild.
To all the black gringos that comes to Brazil, I was wondering how racism is back home with you guys, because I'm Brazilian and I'm black, and Brazil is racist as fuck. Oh, it isn't. Oh, Brazil is not that racist. It is, because I'm black. And I live here. I was born here, raised here. And it is racist as for you guys to come here and say that, oh, this place is amazing for black people. And, you know, I was wondering how racist your place back home must be. Because I was like, if it's worse than here, man, I don't want to go there.
Brazil is an extremely racist country. What you're describing is black Americans coming to Brazil and benefiting from being American. So when we are abroad, we benefit from having an American accent, American passport, and the American dollar. So our view of what actual racism is in a country like Brazil, while we can see it exists, it's very skewed because we will never be treated like a black Brazilian in Brazil because of where we're staying, what we're spending money on, and they want our money. Racism is horrible in America, but I think it's a thing where you understand the social cues, the language, and the cultural things that would tell you what racism is or what a macro or microaggression is. In Brazil, when I lived there for 6 months. I was in Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Belém, and Manaus. But my time in Rio de Janeiro was the most interesting one because that was the whitest place I lived, where it had white people, mixed people, and black people. And I stayed in a place called Leblon, which was very white, more of an upper middle class neighborhood. And I got looks every day leaving the apartment I was in. I was doing a study abroad, so I had school, but I befriended this girl and I told her, hey, I want to go to where you hang out. I want to go to where you and your friends go. And I also didn't want to be the American to like go toward the favelas. That's not what I was doing, but I went to where they partied and I had so much fun and I felt so much more at home with black Brazilians. And we had a conversation around where I was living and they were like, yeah, we don't go there. Why would I ever go there? And it made me realize I was living in the equivalent of the Upper East Side in New York City. And I would never live in the Upper East Side in New York City. I think America and Brazil have a unique experience because two countries that have so many black people, but they are the black people that stayed in the country of their oppressor in a way where we're the minorities in both countries. And the majority of those countries are white. I think what you're describing is something that Brazilians experience here, because if you're Brazilian with a Brazilian accent and you're exotic in America, even though you'll still be black, right? The same way I was still black in Brazil and they didn't know I wasn't Brazilian until I opened my mouth and I spoke English. Racism sucks. I mean, racism exists around the world and we all know this as black people. But I think Americans sometimes don't realize that we benefit from being American abroad, especially in other black places in the Caribbean and Latin America.
Welcome back, guys. You know what's amazing? How some people travel thousands of miles to another country and somehow convince themselves that the local laws don't apply to them. That's exactly what happened in Brazil when an Argentine tourist got into an argument over a restaurant bill. Now, disagreements happens every day. People dispute charges. People argue with businesses. That's not unusual. But what happened next is what turned this into an international story. Instead of handling the situation like an adult, She allegedly began making monkey noises and racial gestures towards black employees. Let that sink in for a second. A disagreement over money somehow turned into racial abuse. And this is where reality hits hard, because in Brazil, racism is not treated as a joke. It's not treated as a misunderstanding. It's not treated as just words. It is a serious crime offense. The workers called the police immediately. The police showed up and suddenly the vacation turned into a different tone. Now, here is what stands out to me. There are still people who believe that service workers, restaurant staff, hotel employees and everyday workers people are somehow beneath them. The moment they don't get their way, the mask comes off. The respect disappears, the professionalism disappears, and that's what you are left with, a person revealing exactly who they are. Think about it. The workers were simply doing their jobs. They weren't politicians. They weren't celebrities. They weren't public figures. They were people trying to earn a living. Yet, they become target because someone felt entitled enough to insult them when things didn't go their way. And that's the bigger issue. Racism isn't just about hateful words. It's about belief that certain people deserve less respect, less dignity, and less human than others. That's why these laws exist. Because societies eventually reach a point where they decide that discrimination isn't something people should simply endure and move on from. Now, one thing that has sparked debate is the severity of the punishment. Some people argue that prison time is too much. Others argue that consequences only matters when they are serious enough to discourage the behavior in the first place. Whatever side you fall on, one thing is undeniable. When you travel abroad, you are responsible for understanding and respecting the law of the country you are visiting. Nobody gets a special pass, not because you are a tourist, not because you are wealthy, not because you are educated, and definitely not because you are used to getting away with things somewhere else. The law is the law. What's also interesting is how quickly public opinion turned against her. Once the story spread, many people weren't focused on sympathy. They were focused on accountability. Why? Because people are tired of seeing racist behavior brushed aside as a mistake, a joke, or a momentary lapses in judgment. They are asking simple questions. If ordinary people are expected to follow the rules every day, why should anyone else be treated differently? At the end of the day, this story isn't really about the one tourist. It's about respect. Respect for workers, respect for local communities, respect for different culture, and respect for the basic humanity of other people. Because no matter where you come from, no matter what language you speak, and no matter what passport you carry, treating people with dignity should never be optional. Anyway guys, what do you think about this video? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Like and share the video to help the channel out. See you in my next video. For now, peace.